Hi, this is Matt DiGiallonardo with BoxingAsylum.com. Uh, this is a little bit of, I guess, of a mini pod of the Nut House. This is just something I wanted to do as I'm sitting here watching some news come in. The Chavez Jr. Brian Vera fight has now been moved to a catchweight of 173 pounds, 13 pounds over the middleweight limit, 8 pounds over the initial 165-pound weight. 5 pounds over the super middleweight limit that they ended up agreeing to. So Chavez Jr. is taking a small middleweight in Brian Vera up all the way to light heavyweight. Why even worry about 173? You might as well just do 175. It's the same thing at that point in time. But at once might have been an interesting fight for a few rounds had it been contested close to the middleweight limit, is now nothing more than a sideshow attraction. And despite the gains that Chavez Jr. has made over the course of his career in improving his craft, he has made some. He's not nearly as sloppy as he once was. He's gotten better with age and experience. But for all the strides that he's made, he's losing everything, considering what's happened. He got nailed for diuretics in a fight earlier in his career. He got busted for marijuana. He's constantly had to move up the scales over his career, but I can see that he probably should have been in higher weight classes for a while. But that all being said, this is a guy that doesn't take it seriously. It's coming it's becoming more and more obvious to everyone, even those that defended Chavez Jr., that the spoiled brat in him, the sense of entitlement in him, is going to keep Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. from fulfilling whatever potential he might have had in the ring. Just on the heart and guile he put forth in the 12th round against Sergio Martinez, you do kind of wonder what a more prepared Chavez Jr. would be able to do. But that being said, I don't think that there is anything so enticing to him to fully train and even be able to get back to the middleweight limit. It seems to me that if you can't take the opportunity to fight to become the middleweight champion of the world, to be recognized as the true champion of a weight class, the real building blocks of a legacy, then you can't take anything serious. Of course he's going to come in over what the initial contract weighs to fight someone like Brian Vera. And that's not to be offensive to Brian Vera. He's proven himself to be a very capable fighter, beating some quality opponents such as Sergio Mora and Sergey Zurich, beating Andy Lee, handing Lee the first loss in his career. But Brian Vera is not a top 10 middleweight per se, and Brian Vera is certainly not a light heavyweight contender. And the problem is, this fight will probably still be close to sold out because of the legions of fans that are addicted to the Chavez name. But I hope these fans realize that by supporting fights like this with their dollars, you're letting Chavez Jr. get away with something he shouldn't be able to get away with here. He is utilizing his financial muscle to get what he wants and to be able to put in only what he wants into the sport, just enough to keep the paychecks rolling in. As I said before, if he didn't care about becoming the super middleweight champion of the world, he's not going to care about anything. He just wants to put money in his pocket. And as long as people are going to go out and pay that money to support him, knowing that what they put in to have their hard-earned money, to be able to go to a boxing match, they put in far more than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. did. And to me, that's the definition of getting ripped off. Sure, he's going to win this fight. I really don't have a doubt in my mind. Unless maybe Vera decides to come in real light and just try to outspeed him. Vera's not known for his speed, but I mean, he's decent. And I think being able to move around the ring and pot shot Chavez, considering the disparity in physicality that Chavez Jr. already possesses, along with his extra weight. I mean, he could be coming into the ring at 190 pounds. And I bet no matter what, Vera doesn't come in higher than 175. So the only way Vera has a chance is to be able to avoid Chavez Jr. basically all night. And I just don't know that he can do that. He does have a good chin. He's taken some good shots, gone the distance, and his defeats most often. Don't have his record in front of me. I'm trying to remember him being stopped. But this is just a complete farce of a fight. And unfortunately, because we have to try to stay on top of the sport as best we can to bring you guys a quality show, we got to watch it. It's a weird position because you want to take that high road of saying I'm not even going to bother with this. It's undeserving of my time. He didn't earn it. But we have to. We're boxing fans through and through, and we watch the biggest travesties, unfortunately. But I'm afraid, given the way the fans will react when he comes in the ring and the viewing figures that this fight will see, that we're embracing mediocrity, so to speak. We're allowing someone that's making unreal amounts of money to make it while not putting in the effort. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is putting in fast food work in the gym, but he's getting CEO wages. And it just isn't right. And it's a shame that people like Vera are in this position where they're offered money, and they might have offered him a little bit more money to be able to accept this. This is just news pulling off of ESPN, actually translated from Spanish. So this is fairly fresh. But so we don't know all the facts behind it. But it's a shame that a fighter like that does go in and train, that does bust their ass to be the best that they can be, even if they have an obvious ceiling, that they can't even get a fair shake, and that it's going to be as simple as a few dollars just to buy them off, just to eat it, walk in. And I know Vera's not thinking he's walking in just to take the L and head home, but essentially we all know that's what's happening. So for the fans of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., I hope you quit supporting what he does and you start being vocal that you expect more out of him. Um, do I have a level of disdain for Chavez Jr. as just a very big Martinez fan? Yeah. I wish Martinez had never gotten rocked in that 12th round, and then nobody would ever have to say it again. It would have just been clean, and we wouldn't have to listen to people saying, "Oh, well, he learned blah blah blah." It's not about learning that he can do that. It's about putting himself in the position where he can capably do it. And I honestly think he would never have that chance against a Martinez that is at least 50% of his best. Because that Martinez would be able to slow Chavez down early if he had come at him like that. And he probably would stop him. That's not to say that the perfectly prepared Chavez doesn't have a chance, because he does have some tools and he does have a punch. He's a big man. But the biggest thing in the way of that fight ever happening again is the middleweight limit. And I think you are kidding yourself, and you're absolutely crazy if you think that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. ever stands in front of a scale again and sees 160 pounds. Um, I see him on his way to being some Mexican heavyweight sideshow attraction where, people still come out because of the name. They'll put a bunch of tomato cans in front of him and they'll plow him down. And maybe one day they'll give him a shot at the heavyweight title or something like that. But Chavez Jr. wants to be able to put in the bare minimum of work and accept the greatest dollar figures from that bare minimum of work. And as long as people are willing to support that, it's going to keep happening. But if you really want to see Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. meet his potential, you need to call him out on this. You need to hurt him in the pocketbooks. We need to quit making him such an attraction and maybe when that fan base goes away, he'll decide he has to do something to get it back. But until that day, fighters like Brian Vera are going to keep getting the short end of the stick just to pick up a few measly bucks because the other guy doesn't want to put the time into the gym. Check us out, boxingasylum.com. I am Matt DiGiallonardo, affectionately known as Matty, and we'll see you guys on the next Nut House.